So this guy is our development manager at Aberdeen, UK. He's an absolute HubSpot CMS genius. He's over a decade experience in building websites. There's so much respect for this guy. Please put your hands together for Knowles.
Hello, Bilbo. Am I on? Yeah, you're on. We're on, thank you. Okay, actionable tips to make your website work harder. Now, these are intro slides all about how my career got flipped, turned upside down. And I like to take 30 minutes, sit right there. I'll tell you how I became a HubSpot developer extraordinaire. I'm glad you liked it because in Manchester agency, born and raised. Developing on HubSpot is how I spent most of my days. Coding, designing, user experiencing, all cool, and a bit of freelancing outside of the school. When a couple of guys who were up to some good said, come and work in the Aberdeen neighbourhood. I pulled up to Clitheroe around June last year and yelled to the Manx, yo Flo, smell you later. I looked at Holmes Mill, I was finally there, dev manager at the best HubSpot agency out there. Okay, this is the sensible intro. So as Mark said, I'm the development manager at Aberdeen. I've been developing on the HubSpot CMS for about 6 or 7 years. That was when, at the beginning, it was, to be honest, a piece of crap that I hated, to now, when it is a proper CMS platform that I would recommend to anybody who wants to build a decent website. So during this talk, I'm hopefully going to give you some tips about how you can make HubSpot work harder for you. If you don't have a website on HubSpot currently, I am really sorry to have wasted your time. So let's just go back to what the title of this talk is, that I was given. I didn't choose this, just to make that clear. Actionable tips to make your website work harder, which is fine. In brackets, without a developer. If you're paying attention, I'm a developer, so initially I took a bit of umbrage to this. Why would I want to give you a load of tips that don't involve me? But I did some soul searching, thought about it, and I realized that if you guys are doing all of the easy stuff that you can do on your websites, that means that I can spend more time doing the harder stuff. If you guys are knowledgeable about the HubSpot CMS and you're doing all that you can with it, then you're going to get excited about it, you're going to get creative, and you're going to give me more interesting stuff to do. Which, despite what Homer says, hard things are worth doing. But we're going to talk about easy things today. So, this is what we hear from pretty much every client who comes to us who needs a full-on website redesign, whether they're moving to HubSpot or not. Our website is a pain to edit. We need something more flexible and easy to use. It shouldn't be like that, should it? Everybody should be able to do whatever they want on their website and make all their ideas come true without coming to me to say, please can you remove Sharon from the team page or change that in the text. What we're going to be looking at today is related to growth-driven design. If you've been in and around HubSpot for any length of time, you will know all about this. I'm not going to teach you about this today. There's plenty of good content out there about it. But what we're going to be focusing on here is if you are in the continuous improvement stage of growth-driven design. So that's where you are testing things, you're trying new things. If your website is, as I can't remember who it was, said before, a dumpster fire, you're probably here and you should speak to Kaz or Kate about getting a full redesign to get you started. That's the end of my sales pitch. So what we're going to look at are 6 different areas where I think we can improve your website. We're going to look at some HubSpot tools that will help, but hopefully for those of you not on HubSpot, there's some stuff you can take away as well. All 6 areas are about video. No, I'm just kidding, we've had enough video today. So these are the 6 areas I'm going to talk about, which they should all be familiar to you: search engine optimization, site speed, user experience, conversion rate optimization, and then the foundations that underpin and make all these things work: analytics and people. Any of those terms, if you didn't know what they meant, come and speak to me afterwards, we'll talk about it. So first, let's start with people. So who are the right people to have in your team to help make your website work harder? This is what I always tell people when they build a website. We try to build websites that are flexible and scalable, and that takes a lot of time. And when we quote you for a website and you think, "Ooh, that's expensive," that's because we're making it flexible, scalable, and editable for you. So if you take that website and then come to us for every little change, you've wasted your money. With great flexibility comes great responsibility. So think about what you've got and what you can do with it. And hopefully this talk will give you some more insight into what that is. So the perfect website manager would be an experienced digital designer. They would have some coding experience. They would know all about SEO. They'd be a user experience expert. They'd have a deep understanding of your business. They would be an excellent content creator, and they'd know all about analytics. But unfortunately, that's 6 different people. And that is why you come to people like us as an agency, because we have the specialists. It can mean that you don't have to hire those 6 different people. What I recommend that you have instead is a website champion. This was mentioned before for another area. It's something that I really encourage people to do. Often in a business, a website is not particularly owned by anybody. It's just, yeah, that's the website, it's everyone's responsibility. What I recommend you have is someone who actually is the website owner, somebody who is the go-to, someone who's championing it in your business. And they will be design and tech aware, but primarily a marketer. So they'll have an eye for design, they'll know what looks good. Hand in hand with that, they're going to understand your brand. They're going to be well trained on the CMS, and this one is really key, that thing that we've given you that's really flexible and editable. You need to know how to use it, and you're not just going to learn that on your own. Speak to the people who built it to tell you that. They're going to have a good relationship with the agency, so if you do have questions, if you do want to do anything, when that idea pops into your head, you know the right person to speak to. They're going to understand SEO best practices. You're not going to know all about SEO, but you are going to know what you need to do at the basic level. You're going to understand the numbers behind your website dashboards, and you're going to be that person who can bridge the sales and marketing gap, which I believe Bob is going to talk about some more. But it's really important to appreciate that your website is not just a marketing thing, it's very much a sales thing, and if it's not working for both sales and marketing, then it's not working. So, I'm going to give you 6 actionable tips today, as the title says. And the first one is go away and appoint this website champion. If you think they're already in your business and they're already doing all this website stuff, give them the title still. If you think they're not in your business, consider recruiting someone who has a bunch of those skills that we talked about before. So next, on to analytics. The thing that everybody knows they should be doing better. Key thing with analytics is know your numbers. Can I get everybody to raise their hands? Yeah, everybody. Keep your hand raised if you know how much monthly traffic you get to your website. Keep your hand raised if you know how many leads it generates per month. Keep your hand raised if you know what your most popular pages and articles are. Keep your hand raised if you know what the highest converting pages are. And keep them raised if you know what the highest revenue generators are. So we've got maybe, Circus Street, you go guys. We've got a few hands left raised. Chris is our PPC expert, so it's his job to know all this stuff. But it's important for everybody to at least have a basic understanding of all this stuff, because if you don't know what's coming into your website and how it's converting, how are you ever going to make it better? From a HubSpot point of view, something that doesn't get used frequently enough is the Web Analytics dashboard. And this is available straight out of the box. You don't have to set anything up. You don't need a developer to help you with it. And all the metrics that we were just talking about are there at a top level. So if you haven't looked at that ever, look at it. If you are already familiar with it, start customizing it. What's out of the box is great, but it's probably not everything you need. There's a whole bunch of pre-built reports that you might want to use as well. On a similar vein, if you drill down into individual pages, there's a whole wealth of information that a lot of people don't ever look at. All the stuff that's on the top level, you've got on a per page level, but the key one is that's really interesting is it will actually tell you that final question about how much revenue this page is actually generating if everything is set up correctly. So this is our Averly Finland's contact page in whatever week this was when I took the screenshots. It's had 2 deals associated with it that have generated over 6,000 euros. It's great that you can find that out, so you can go in and see what those highest revenue generating pages are, and that will tell you where to focus your efforts. Don't waste time on pages that aren't generating revenue. So the actionable tip for analytics is to do something. This is a HubSpot tip, I'm sorry if you don't have HubSpot. This is to set up a scheduled recurring dashboard email. This is a little used feature of HubSpot where you can set it to go out weekly, monthly, you can filter it by whatever metrics you want, and that can pop up in all your stakeholders' inboxes. So all these numbers that I'm telling you people should know are going to be in their face all the time. But brownie points, if you follow it up, now this is what it looks like when you do it. Yeah, brownie points if you can follow it up every month with some context as well, and you're not just throwing numbers at them. Next one is SEO. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do SEO. Frankly, I find it terribly boring. Sorry, Ant. But I will tell you what you need to know from a HubSpot CMS perspective to make sure that you are optimizing your site in the best possible way. So, this is your SEO checklist. If you do know anything about SEO, that subtitle is my little attempt at an SEO joke. So, 2 things that you can do on a page setting level. Make sure your page titles and meta descriptions are working hard for you. When you go into pages themselves, make sure all your image alt tags are set correctly and the heading structure is doing its job. So that means you've got a heading 1 and you've got suitable heading 2s and so on. And then these other 3 we're going to go into a bit more detail on. But the most important thing for any site, make sure you're updating it regularly. If you've got blogs, if you've got reviews, if you've got testimonials, those are the things that Google eats up. And every time it comes to your site, you want it to say, hey, this site is changing. So it's your number 1 responsibility, despite anything you do with your SEO strategy, to make sure it's being updated all the time. So the first tool, SEO perspective. I'm going to be honest, this is a tool that I only discovered recently in HubSpot when a client sent me the report and said, can you fix all this stuff? And I said, what the hell is this report? Where did this come from? What it does is it scans your whole website. It will give you a list of all the things from an SEO perspective that you need to fix to make your site work better. What I would recommend is untick every box except on-page SEO. That's not just because when you tick the other ones that means I have to do more work. It's also because those are the ones that you can actually go and address. So on this screenshot here, it's telling us we've got a bunch of pages with duplicate content. It's telling us we don't have the H1 tag on some pages. It's telling us the image alt text is blank on some of our images. And it also tells us exactly what pages this is affecting. So this is a really quick way for you to make some wins on your website and get those pages ranking a bit better. I'd recommend you run this monthly, and hopefully you can have less than 1,084 total issues from whatever terrible site I took this screenshot from. Link to that. You can also do this on a individual page basis, the same as you can with the analytics. This will tell you individual SEO recommendations. So if you don't have time to do the full site scan, start doing a single on-page review of your most important pages, which we previously identified because we know all about analytics now. Another tool within HubSpot is the SEO topics tool. Hands up anyone who's using this. Not many people. Who is implementing a pillar page strategy? Yeah, more people. A pillar page strategy is one of the number one ways we recommend to make your content work harder for you. I'm not going to go into detail about it at the moment, but it's essentially building long form pages that Google will rank, and then you can link all of your other content to it so that that original page appears high in the results. What the SEO topics tool allows you to do is put in what keyword you're trying to rank for, and then say, right, what of my content is supporting this? And then it will also find related content that you already have in your website. So straight away you can see where you need to be building links. And that's my tip for SEO, because I don't know that much about it, is use the content plus the topics tool. Go and put in some of your keywords and start mapping out where you want to build new content. So, is everybody ready to go fast? This is the speed section. I'm just kidding, the pace of the presentation is going to remain the same. So, page speed. How do you tell if your page is fast or not, your website is fast or not? The main way that people use, it used to be called the Page Speed Insights tool. It's now web.dev. It's a Google tool that has been used to bash developers around the head for decades. It will tell you how your site is performing, whether you're hitting accessibility rankings, if you're hitting a bunch of best practice stuff, and whether your SEO is up to scratch. The main thing with this, and I'm saying this very much from a developer's perspective, is don't aim for 100 on those. It will be detrimental to what you're trying to do. The best way to get 100 on a website is to have a simple text-based website that has no video content, which we know is bad, no images, no interactive content. That would probably get 100. But you want some of that stuff because you know it's going to help convert your users. So you need to find the balance between where you want the page speed to be at and what content is going to work for you. Having said that, these are the very high benchmarks that Mark set for us as a development team. On desktop, we want that to be 90 plus. On mobile, 70 plus, which is very difficult. And on SEMrush, we want that health score to be over 85. If we're working on a site and we know, actually, I need a really high quality, massive video on this page, that's what's going to convert for me, we're going to adjust these accordingly. But generally, when we launch a site, this is what we aim for. And normally, we hit it. The problem is that people don't do this afterwards. So, going back to, with great flexibility comes great responsibility. You can edit all your images and upload them because your developers have allowed you to do that. And if you don't optimize them, you're going to kill your page speed. So it's important to make sure you're always optimizing them, and that won't become a problem. And the three main things to do that are size, format, and dimensions. So size, simple one, you can check how big an image is when you're uploading it. Format, I'll talk about a bit more in a second. And dimensions, don't use a 6,000 pixels wide photo when you need a 200 pixels wide image for the space. You can always go a little bit bigger to maintain quality, but the main thing here is don't go downloading images from Unsplash, Google Images, iStock, and throw them straight into your website, because that's how people kill their website speed. I'm going to try a little exercise to help people remember this, because this is the one thing I want you to take away from this presentation. I wasn't going to do this, but after Luke got you all up and moving, I think it might work. So, I'm going to come down here. Okay, so this side of the room, from Matt that way, you are size and format. This side of the room, you are dimensions. So, I want you to repeat after me, size and format.
Size and format.
Dimensions.
Dimensions.
Now, again, a little bit more enthusiasm, size and format.
Size and format.
Dimensions.
Dimensions.
Now a little bit higher, size and format. Now a little bit lower, dimensions. Size and format. Okay, so I don't know if that works, I just really wanted to do it. So a little bit about the formats of your images. Generally, they fall into two categories. Vector images are simple shapes, your logos, your text pieces, your icons. You're going to want a developer or designer to help you with those, typically, unless you're comfortable with graphic design software. Raster images is where the problems come in. These are usually photos and complex graphics, and these are the ones that generally people need to learn to optimize. 3 simple rules. Use a .png if you want it to be transparent. Use a JPEG if you don't. And if you want to really make Google happy, converting things to .webp is basically a cheat code for the Google Page Insights tool. There's free converters online. Just Google convert JPEG to .webp, and you'll be able to do that. Anybody can do it. You don't need a developer for it. Also, there's a bunch of free online tools: Imagery, compressed JPEGs, Mush, Kraken. They're all examples of ones that we use to optimize images. They're dead simple. It's an extra step when you're building a page, but it's worth doing. And also, consider if you really need that image at all. This picture of Will here is an example of an image that has absolutely nothing to this presentation. I can tell you that Will is optimizing some images here, but he isn't. I just put it in to make this point. So I think, is that image that I've got from my stock photo of some people looking at me really kind of convert more leads for me? So, actionable tip number 4, very simple: optimize the shit out of your images. Number 5, if you're keeping track, we're getting towards the end. User experience. So all the things that we've done up to now, we've made sure everything's going fast, we've made sure we're getting people there through SEO, we've made sure we know what's working, what isn't. Now we can finally think about our customers. First tip, review your sitemap regularly. When we redesign a website, our strategists will take what you've got and we will streamline it, we will take out all of the unnecessary stuff. But when we then give you that site, with great flexibility comes great responsibility. You're going to get page bloats. You're going to get your CEO asking for an extra page to be added. You're going to get another department that wants a page that wasn't there before. And you're also going to get, naturally in your business, products and services that aren't going to be useful anymore. So just take them out of your nav. Take away those distractions that aren't working. And if you're on top of your analytics, you'll know which of these pages are working and which isn't. So it's easy to do, and we recommend doing this at least once a month. But really, if your website champion is regularly in your site, they should be spotting the opportunities to go, actually, users don't care about this. Next one is very HubSpot. It says start using smart content. As a developer, this is one of my main frustrations when we take people on a HubSpot CMS journey, is that they get all excited about this at the sales stage, they understand the power of it, and they never actually use it. What it lets you do is personalize your pages based on a whole bunch of things. So the country they're in, we've got multinational clients who we're using that for all over the shop. Device type is useless, I've never used that. The key ones are these ones in red here. The main HubSpot one is lifecycle stage. Present different messaging to customers that are at different stages of their HubSpot journey. You know what they want to hear. If they're a new prospect, they're going to want to see something different to if they're a customer, if they've just downloaded another guide from you. The even more powerful version of this is contact list membership. That means that if anything you know about your customers, you can display different content based on it. So if you work for a pet insurance company and you've done a survey and that customer, you know they have 2 dogs, show them some dogs when they come to the site next time. That's a terrible example, but you get my point. The main thing is, smart content is the key to unlocking the power of HubSpot CMS, because that's how you get it talking to your CRM, which we all know is really powerful. That last one there, query parameter, you'll need a developer for, so moving on. Another one, implement progressive forms, which sounds scary and developer-ish, but it's not. All this means is that any HubSpot form that you implement on a HubSpot CMS site or even on a WordPress site, if you're embedding forms there, you can set fields to appear if you already know the existing information about someone. So as a basic example, if they've already downloaded a guide and so you know their first name and their last name, those fields can be replaced by, hey, what's your annual turnover? And you can start building up your CRM record about that person. And it's super easy to implement, people just don't seem to know it's there. So if it's something you want to use, again, contact us or me, or us. My final one, which is a battle I'm still trying to fight internally as well, because not everyone agrees with me, is ditch that carousel. You do not need it. The website is cluttered with sliders galore all over the place. And I'm probably digging a hole for myself here because we still design websites with sliders on. This is where the fight back against them starts inevitably. They have zero SEO value. They hurt your page speeds because you have to load in JavaScript and all sorts of stuff. They frustrate your users. There's so many studies that say nobody ever clicks past slide 1. They confuse your analytics. They don't know what happens. They confuse Google bots because they're seeing a big old length of content that you don't want to be there. You want to look at this content here. And ultimately, they hurt your conversion rate. I thought my actionable tip was ditch your sliders. It's not ditch your sliders. My actionable tip for this bit, go personalize your thank you page with smart content. If you're not using smart content yet, I find that the thank you page is a really easy place to get your head around it. You know what someone has requested from you, you know what their interests are. Don't just say, thanks, we'll send you that guide. Say, you might be interested in this content as well. And if you know a bit more information about them, you can personalize that even more. So please, trial smart content. And last one, conversion rate optimization. So this is what we have been building towards with all of the things we've looked at. This is where continuous improvement in the growth-driven design process really comes to life, and HubSpot CMS makes it really easy. So I couldn't do a talk on growth-driven design without a quote from Luke Summerfield of HubSpot. Optimizations are not blind guesses, they're driven by data. It's really easy when you're trying to make your site better to say, I think this is going to work, let's try this, without basing it on anything. So this is where, again, those foundational analytics come in. This is where your website champion comes in, someone who really understands what needs to happen. Excuse me. But ultimately, the most important thing to do once you have that baseline of data is just dive in. Just start trying it. If you're not on HubSpot, there are tools you can use to do split testing. They're a little bit more of a pain, but they are there. But within HubSpot, split testing is really easy. Any page in your website, you can hover over it and say start a test. And start changing something. Don't wait for 10 levels of sign off to say I think this message will work better. You're not going to do that much damage to your site by changing some wording or moving a few things around. And if it works better, everyone's happy. There's two types of things you can do. A/B test is just a A/B test, 50-50 version of something you can try. And an adaptive test is the more advanced version where you can make 5 different versions of a page. And whatever it is winning, HubSpot will show it to your users automatically. Another thing I really like as a HubSpot tool is lead flows. These are essentially pop-ups that everyone knows are annoying, but HubSpot gives you some ways to make them a lot less obtrusive. The main thing I like to do with these is to use this pop-up box, but only make it appear on exit intent. So this is when a user is going to leave your page. You've got one last chance to pop something up and say, hey, have you thought about this? And we find it works really well to get that little bit of extra % out of a page. HubSpot Messages is HubSpot's chatbot tool, which I won't spend too long on because Josh talked about it. But again, it's another tool that, excuse me, that is within your HubSpot license. You're paying for it, and frequently people aren't using it. And the main reason is that people are afraid that to use it, you need to have somebody manning your live chat all the time, and that's just not the case. If you just write even a half-decent chatbot script, this HubSpot Messages can be your salesperson on the site who's available 24/7. You've probably heard all this rhetoric before if you've heard about conversational marketing. And it's really easy to set up. You don't need a developer for this. Just turn it on. And the main thing you can do to improve your conversion rate optimization is add new channels for generating leads. Previously with clients, we put a chatbot in and we've seen a 30% increase in the number of leads that are being generated just because you've added an extra channel for people to use. So, my final actionable tip, going back to split testing, whilst you can split test individual pages, what you can also do on your HubSpot website is split test an individual CTA. So it's dead easy, just go into the CTA editor, say I want to run a test, and change the messaging. So if your messaging is book a demo, try get a free trial. If it's contact us, then it's rubbish and you should definitely test us. Try book a demo. I can't remember what I was going to say there. But this is something that you can test really easy. It takes 2 minutes to set up, and it could transform how many leads you're generating, because that could have been the golden nugget of information that you need to start generating more leads on your website. So don't be afraid, go and try some split testing. So if you do all of this, you will not need a developer for ages. Now thank you.
We've got another 5 minutes, we'll go for time. Does anyone like to ask Chris any website related? Hands straight up.
We've got a website, but it's not with HubSpot CMS. Can I make use of any of those tools? Like, yeah, we use Expression Engine.
Yeah, so you can take advantage of some of them. So HubSpot Forms you can embed on other websites. HubSpot CTAs you can embed. You won't get the split testing stuff, you'll just get some of the analytics and so on. So yes, there's a couple of bits, but most of it, no, you should get.
Okay, thank you.
Any more website related questions, Chris? No? Okay, thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.